Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a rapid-fire final NFL draft. And guys, I will be live streaming tomorrow night to react to all these picks, but I'm just going to go through it and try and do kind of a realistic version of how I think it's going to go tomorrow night, picking for every single team in the first round. And no, I'm not allowed to trade because I don't have the money to buy PFF Plus. It's a little outside of my price range at $7.99. So we're just going to do it without trades because it's too hard to predict anyways. So Carolina drafting number 1. And guys, I am going to go CJ Stroud number 1. I'm still a believer. The thing that always sticks in my head about Bryce Young, he is the exact same height as Kyler Murray, and he weighs way less. That's a big concern for me. When Carolina made this trade to number 1, they had inside their head that they were going to draft CJ Stroud. I don't see that changing. This is how the draft goes. There's weird rumors, things like that. And then it becomes very obvious if CJ Stroud goes number 1, that Bryce Young will be the number 2 overall pick to Houston. They love him. We know that. At number 3, if Arizona stays put, I do see them taking Will Anderson over Tyree Wilson. There's been a lot of rumors that Tyree Wilson might go number 3. He might be the first defender. That's just what happens in situations like this when we get so close to the draft. So I do think Will Anderson will go. Actually, can I trade? Yeah, I can't even trade. All right, whatever. We're not going to. We don't need to do that. At number 4, Indianapolis. Indianapolis is not going to be trading their pick. I think they will draft Will Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky. A lot of people think Will Levis will go to Indianapolis. They might have to trade up one spot, but we'll see. And now we do have Seattle on the clock. Because the thing is, guys, it's just so hard with Anthony Richardson. Like, does Seattle decide to roll with Anthony Richardson, sit him for a year with Geno playing, and then insert him? He's very raw. I think I'm going to give them Anthony Richardson because there's really no other spot. I mean, where would Anthony Richardson go? To, the Titans after that? I don't know. So I'm just going to give Seattle Anthony Richardson. They know that Geno Smith is really not the future. He had kind of one of the weirdest years we've seen. He's like irrelevant for a decade. He's a total bust, and then he comes out of nowhere. Can he replicate that? I'm not sure about that. At number 6, I think this is where Christian Gonzalez goes. So I have heard that Christian Gonzalez will be the number 1 cornerback off the board. Listen, it could be Witherspoon. Who knows? But I am going to go with Christian Gonzalez to the Detroit Lions after trading away Jeff Okudah there, getting another cornerback early in the first round. They do have 2 first-round picks. Next, you have Vegas. So Vegas, it says they need a quarterback. I mean, they got Jimmy G, I believe, on a 3-year deal. So with Vegas, I think they're going to be very calm. And I think they're going to go with an offensive lineman, or maybe, you know what? We're going to give them Peter Saransky. We'll go Saransky. I know people are saying maybe Jalen Carter, maybe Witherspoon. I think they're going to want a stud, and Saransky is going to be a stud from Northwestern. So is Paris Johnson Jr. That's really a toss-up. At number 8, I love this pick. Where is he? Did I already draft? Where do they have Tyree Wilson? Where is Tyree Wilson, folks? Am I missing something? Hold on. Edge rushers. Oh, come on, man. Dude, PFF has got to do this thing where they rank Tyree Wilson 28th. Really? I just don't it's whatever. They've got Myles Murphy ranked above Tyree Wilson. That's a little disrespectful. I'm going to go Tyree Wilson number 8. And then at number 9, this is the most obvious pick in the draft. You need to help Justin Fields along the offensive line. Go with Paris Johnson Jr. here, and they've got him ranked 16th. That's too low. I think Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be really good. Maybe they decide to go Saransky if he's still available. Maybe they go Darnell Wright, but they will be taking an offensive tackle there. At number 10, Philadelphia. I do think they draft Bijan Robinson here. You know, they've got a really good offense. Yes, they've got other needs, but you take a look, receiver at number 10. You know, you do have A.J. Brown. You've got Devontae Smith. I'm really not seeing a first-round investment into a receiver. They've also got the 30th overall pick. Why not get a Ferrari for your offense and make it even easier for Jalen Hurts? You've already invested so much money into him. You want to protect that and keep him healthy. They need a guard and a center, but I see that at pick number 30. Maybe they take the guard, Torrance from Florida at number 30. At number 11, it is Tennessee. So Tennessee's really in no man's land. I think they take JSN here just because they need a really good receiver. I thought the pick last year was terrible. I said Treylon Burks was not going to be good. They decided to take him and trade A.J. Brown. Do they try and trade up to number 2 or number 3? Or it would be number 3. With Arizona. I've seen that kind of be a popular thing. I don't think so. I think they end up taking a receiver. At number 12, it is Houston. So Houston, personally, I think this is just what I would do. I would take Jordan Addison here. You know, you could make an argument for a number of guys, but I think Jordan Addison is really underrated. He's basically a Calvin Ridley type mold, and that's where I would go at number 12. At number 13, it is the Green Bay Packers. So history tells us the Packers will probably draft like Jalen Carter here if he's available. You know, you've got Witherspoon. But I do think they are going to make a conceited effort to get Jordan Love some weapons. It's almost a sick joke. Aaron Rodgers leaves, and then they finally draft an offensive player. I ridiculed the Packers like crazy last year when they decided to, draft Quay Walker, who led the league in, amount of times he pushed the ref over a receiver. It's just ridiculous. But I'm going to go Dalton Kincaid. I think he's got a really high ceiling, possibly George Kittle-like. At number 13. And then at number 14, you've got New England. You know, they need a quarterback. I mean, they do have Mac Jones. I think they'll probably roll with him for one more year. This is a great culture fit, Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith is a little bit of a enigma, mainly because of the injury and kind of the lack of production, but I do like Nolan Smith. At number 15, the Jets, they need an offensive tackle, also a linebacker. There's no linebackers you're drafting at number 15, so Jones or Wright, I think very clearly Darnell Wright should be the pick if you're the Jets, and Paris Johnson and Soronsky are off the board. At number 16, it is the Commanders. So the Commanders probably more looking towards best player available. I don't think they're going to take Jalen Carter, but I do think if Devin Witherspoon was on the board, they would draft him. I have seen a lot of mock drafts that have Deonte Banks from Maryland going to number 16. And then finally, here it is. So I am expecting a pretty big fall for Jalen Carter. It's a number of different things. Number one, to me as a prospect, the idea that you're going to call somebody that had 6 sacks in their career a generational talent, it's just appalling. It's not true. And then obviously the off-the-field issues with the driving, going 300 miles per hour, the pro day issues. Also, Todd McShay pointed out multiple concerns right after the season saying, this guy does not have a good motor. He doesn't try every snap. People attacked him, and then Jalen Carter did all those other things. So there's a lot of red flags with Jalen Carter, but I do think Pittsburgh will think, because of his overall talent as a defensive tackle at number 17, they can make that investment into him, and they will draft him. At number 18, it is Detroit. So they drafted Christian Gonzalez. It says they need a receiver. I mean, they just drafted a receiver, Jameson Williams. But with Detroit overall, you know, looking at this, I would probably just say best player available. I'll say I'd give him Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame. That would be a pretty good pick for them, in my opinion. All these, I don't know why Kancey would be ranked 14th with his profile. There is no way I would draft Kancey in the first round. There has not been a single player that's as small as Kancey that has made any impact in the NFL. And you're going to say, oh, he's going to be an outlier. Well, I mean, some other team could take that chance. But I do like that they have Brian Branch ranked 15th. That's a good ranking. Next, you have the Buccaneers at number 19. Do they draft Hendon Hooker? I don't think so personally. Offensive line, defensive line, safety. So with the Buccaneers, they could do a number of different things. They're kind of in a spot. I am personally think that the Buccaneers are actually just tanking this year and they're trying to get Caleb Williams. So I'll probably just go best player available. And I'm going to give them Brian Branch. I like that fit. I also see maybe they might trade Mike Evans because I do think they might tank next year and try and get Caleb Williams and have a complete rebuild done in one season. At number 20, it is the Seattle Seahawks. I'm guessing they probably just go best player available here. Who did I have them pick? I had them Anthony Richardson. So yeah, we'll just go Myles Murphy here. I'm not really a believer in Myles Murphy, but I do think as an edge rusher with that athleticism, being a former 5-star, he will get drafted in the first round. Next, it's the Chargers. So for the Chargers, I love the Jordan Addison fit. Obviously, in this mock, I had taken him. He might be there, but if he's gone, I would take Zay Flowers. That's just what I would do. I'm not interested in Quentin Johnston at that point. At number 22, you've got Baltimore. So Baltimore could go a number of different ways. I do think maybe Deonte Banks, the cornerback, goes there at that spot. Do they really try and get another receiver to help Lamar Jackson like a Quentin Johnston to go along with OBJ? You've also already got Rashard Bateman. Maybe they try and do that. I don't know. We'll have to see if Lamar Jackson needs any more convincing. At number 23, I don't think that Minnesota is going to go with a quarterback. I know people have been saying Hendon Hooker gets drafted here. You could give them Kancey. There's really no good linebackers. Emmanuel Forbes, I really like. But I'm going to actually go Joey Porter Jr. So Joey Porter Jr. would probably be my number 1 overall cornerback in this draft. And my number 2 cornerback is actually Cam Smith. And I think I'm going to have Jacksonville as a team that does strike me as someone who would really try and help Trevor Lawrence. So we might give them Schmitz, the center from Minnesota here, as an investment piece. I have seen him going in different first rounds. At 25, I think if you're the Giants, you have to try and get a receiver. This is probably worst case scenario for them. Would you consider drafting Jalen Hyatt? I don't think you can. They need a complete receiver, and with Zay Flowers off the board at this point, Jordan Addison off the board at this point, you just gotta draft Quentin Johnston. I don't know who else they would pick, and I think Quentin Johnston's gonna be a bust. But at 25, I guess you take the chance there. At 26, it is Dallas. In this spot, I really would like Dallas to get a tight end, but you're really looking at like reaching for Sam Laporta or something like that. Running back, Gibbs. I don't see Gibbs going in the first round. Linebacker, that's not going to happen. A cornerback that I really like that I want to shout out is Cam Smith. I think Cam Smith should be a first round corner. He was like the number 1 cornerback last year. I don't think he played that bad, but for some reason he's kind of fallen by the wayside. And I think he's going to be a really good player in the NFL. Next, you've got Buffalo. It seems like Buffalo every year just drafts a defensive lineman. I don't know what it is. I'm going to do something different for them, though. You can see linebacker help, corner. I really want to get them a running back. Is Gibbs worth it? His measurements were not good. He was measured very small. I think he measured 5'10", which is tough. It's almost like an Alvin Kamara type build for Gibbs. Honestly, if I was Buffalo, I'd still probably draft him. I'm just sick of having a bad running game. I'm sick of Zach Moss. I'm sick of Devin Singletary. I'm sick of Josh Allen taking all these hits. I need to get him some help. But ideally, you would want to take Bijan Robinson there. And then at 28, you've got Cincinnati. Do they want to invest more on the offense? I highly doubt it, considering they are looking at giving Joe Burrow a massive contract, looking at giving, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins maybe massive deals. You're going to want to get young, controllable defensive talent at this point. Let's take a look at the cornerbacks. Really, it would only be Forbes at this point. I might just give them Kancey based off of need or Van Ness. Oh, you know who I'm going to give them? I love Will McDonald. I love Will McDonald. I think Will McDonald should go a lot higher than that. I forgot about him. But yeah, Will McDonald should be a first-round pick. And then I will give the Saints Kancey just kind of as a best player available back to Philadelphia. I think this is where they go for the best guard in the draft, and they draft Torrance. They might draft the kid from TCU for all I know. I'm just going to say they take an offensive lineman at number 30. And then at number 31, it is the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs probably says they need a receiver. I don't really see a receiver unless they want to reach for a Jalen Hyatt. You know, that doesn't seem too likely to me. Also a defensive lineman. We will go ahead and give them Van Ness just based off of overall value there. But I do agree with PFF. I'm pretty low on Van Ness myself. I know everyone has him ranked fairly high. But this is just kind of my final predictions. I think the quarterbacks, CJ Stroud number 1, Bryce Young number 2, Will Levis to Indianapolis. Now, obviously, there will be trades, but this might, it might be a little bit better doing it without trades and not trying to play God and just kind of just picking where the teams currently are at. But I do kind of see it playing out like this with Jalen Carter suffering a fall. You do have Paris Johnson going inside the top 10. Christian Gonzalez, the first corner off the board. Jordan Addison goes higher than expected. Dalton Kincaid goes a little bit higher than expected. Nolan Smith goes higher than expected. Quentin Johnston, that would probably be pretty much where he's projected to go. Cam Smith goes in the first round. Will McDonald goes in the first round. Joey Porter Jr. I really like. Schmitz, a center, goes in the first round. Brian Branch, I think, goes higher than expected. So those are just some predictions from me. Again, guys, I will be live streaming this tomorrow night at around probably like 15 minutes before it starts, like 7:45. I'll go live and react to all the picks and things like that. But that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.